have to figure out what to do. Share, copy link. All right, this is a new link. So tell me if this is working. I think it generates a new link each time because I know I shared
Yes,
the.
sir.
So this is what the link is supposed to be. So let me know if you can still, if there's still static or something, and then maybe it's one of these phones. I don't know that is so close to the. But we just did a test, so
Yes.
so.
I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing a lot of background noise, like creating those sounds.
No, nothing like that is up. Nothing changed. We were just here. Yeah, so the static is still there. I don't know why the
But it's
static
not
is there.
as bad as like it
No,
was. I
it's
can hear you clearly.
well, maybe off. Let's see. Maybe it's our phone. Hold on. Wait. Okay, is this call? Is this call? Hold on. I'm trying to see how to get this to work. All right. So let me know if this is working. Uh, is this working now? Can you hear me without any static? Okay, so it's working now. You can hear me, no static. No, tell me it's tell me it's working now. Oh, better now? Okay, perfect, 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 perfect. Okay, finally we can get to do this. Okay, okay, good, perfect, perfect. All right, it's good to know. I'm excited. All right, let me take this. Okay, so let's get settled and let's, of course, share this link on all our social media platforms so we can have people join. I just shared the link on here. This is a direct link to this. So just make sure, let's do that first. Let's take the first 5 minutes to share these links and then we'll get started here, okay? Hmm. Delete this, delete file. Delete, replace. Mhm. Okay, okay, I'm glad it's working. It's working now, so we are good. Let's, I'm trying to, So if you've shared that initial link before with anyone, just go ahead and delete it and share the new link. I just shared the new link with everyone. So we'll get started here in just a minute. We'll get started here in just a minute, guys. Just a minute. Okay. So I'm trying to share the correct link to to some of my other platforms so that everyone can get the correct link. But that said, we started off late, but we'll still have our one. I'll still have 1 hour with you also. No worries. Let's just, I'm just trying to make sure that I get the correct link out. All right, guys. So I'll start anytime now. And again, I'm just trying to get the correct link out. We have a lot to talk about, so just hang in there for a minute. Okay. All right, that is wrong link. Okay. All right, good. So I have everything out. And I put away this phone so I don't have any more interference with my mic setup here. So give me a thumbs up or just let me know if you can still hear me. Everything is good, so we can get started here. Okay, good. All right, good. So everyone can hear me. So we're good. We can get started. All right, we're just going to start with some welcome introduction. I want to go, some overview, of the key differences of graduate funding options, key differences like scholarships, fellowships, assistantships, and we'll talk about the importance of securing funding early in the process, and then we'll talk about scholarships for graduate school, that various type of scholarship that could be available for you. There are merit based, need based, and all that type of scholarships, fellowships like Fulbright and DAAD, and so on and so forth. And most importantly, we'll talk about assistantships. The assistantships are different. There are teaching assistantships, research assistantships, graduates. Assistantships positions in general, and we will also talk about university specific funding and application strategies for funding. Again, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and make sure you're following my Instagram, my Facebook. I also have a LinkedIn page, which is my professional page. So go ahead and follow me on there. Though Facebook, LinkedIn, sorry, has uh, a connection limit, I believe, and I I think I'm reaching that limit if not already there. But go ahead and connect, and then it's going to you can see, of course, once you hit connect, it automatically allows you to follow me on LinkedIn. And so just make sure you're connected on all my social media pages, okay? So let's get started here. So, and I'll also want some questions. I will be, yeah, thank you all for joining. I see, let me see what I have here. I see a Kene here. Uh, thanks for joining. Is that Avik? I see a black boy and Kinsley. Nice meeting you. And okay, okay. I also see former. Good. All right. So welcome to today's YouTube live session. We're going to dive into one of the most important topics, important for anyone who is trying to or who is considering graduate school, specifically in the United States. And we are going to this session is titled Navigating Funding Options, Scholarships, Fellowships, and Assistantships. So that's going to be our focus for today's talk. Now, hold on one second. Okay, let me give you a brief overview of what we're going to cover today, which I kind of already went through. Now, by the end of this session, you will have better, clearer understanding of the different ways you can fund your graduate education. We're going to break down the difference between scholarships, fellowships, and assistantships, and we'll also talk about specific strategies for finding and applying for these opportunities. Let me bring this here. Maybe it's going to be easier. So I'll share tips with you that will help you strengthen your application and maximize your chances of securing funding. And these are the funding that you need for graduate school application, right? And I understand that, especially coming from Africa, that's the biggest deal. Funding is very important for you to focus on your studies. You don't want to be worried trying to do any type of work. In fact, for if you are as an international student, you have something called an F1 visa or a J type visa, depending on your what you're here to study or your yeah, depending on your situation, it could be an F1 type or a J1 type. Now you're not you have some work restrictions. Most of the work is within the university. You cannot work outside the university, of course, unless you have some you're an internship or things like that. So now, for those of you who don't know me, I am Professor Chukwuzbelu Fodike. I've been in your shoes, an international student navigating the complex world of graduate school. So I've done this. I've applied. I did this decades ago, so I understand the process. And now, as a professor at Texas A&M University Engineering, my mission is to help aspiring scholars like yourself, especially those from Africa, to secure the support they need and resources they need to achieve academic success. So, like I mentioned, funding is a key focus because without funding, many talented students like yourself never get the chance to even start the academic journey. So, I'm here to demystify the process and help you succeed. So, we'll just get started here. And also, I'll be, this, feel free to ask questions as I go. So, we are all kind of and I can answer those questions, and I see your questions, I see your thumbs up and everything. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. Okay, so now let's get to the next part. Now let's talk about the key differences between scholarships, fellowships, and assistantships. Why it is important to secure funding early in your graduate school process. First off, let's start with scholarships. Now, these are financial awards given to students based on academic merit, talent, and or sometimes personal background. Now, scholarships don't have to be paid back, and they are often provided by universities or private organizations or sometimes foundations, which are non-profits and so on. For international students, scholarships can be a great opportunity, a great way to cover tuition and other expenses. You're going to have a lot of expenses as a student. You need to figure out how to cover those expenses on time, like I said. Now, next we have fellowships. Let's talk about fellowships. Fellowships are very similar to scholarships, but they usually focus more on research leadership potential or specific fields of study. And some fellowships may provide more than just tuition coverage. They could also provide or include things like stipend. Stipend are amount we pay to students for things like living expenses. They can use that as like, and some fellowships and most fellowships do come with stipends, and stipend can range between $1,000 a month to 2 to 3 to 4, to whatever. It depends on where the source of fund is coming from, who is sponsoring, and what is laid down on such contracts. Now, since it's very, it covers both tuition and it covers your living expenses. Fellowships are highly competitive, but it can be a great way to boost your academic career. Now, the final thing we're going to talk about is just make sure, if you can, for any reason you cannot hear me, just let me know on the live chat so I can, I see you do not hear me. So the The final thing we're going to talk about will be assistantships. Now, this is okay. Good. Okay. This is there are three forms of assistantships I'm going to talk about, and one is teaching assistantships. These are TAs. Generally call them TAs, where you help with teaching undergraduate and graduate courses. And we also have research assistantships. We call that RAs, where you work on research projects along with professors. And these are, and we'll get into the nitty gritty details soon, but these are usually tied to a project, tied to some money you get, the professors or the PIs already have to fund you. And we also have graduate assistantships, which are called quote unquote GAs. Now, GAs can involve a variety of administrative tasks, and it's not just teaching or research, right? Now, assistantships generally usually come with tuition waivers. They usually come with stipend, which is the amount we pay the student to cover living expenses every month. And they also uh, cover, sometimes they cover some other fees, but most of the university fees are usually less than $1,000 in most cases. And if you were to pay out of pocket every semester and you were doing 9 credit hours, that could easily add up to about 12 to 14 thousand dollars, depending on the university. And if you have one of these assistantships, it could waive your tuition, and tuition is usually the bulk pack of this amount. And it will waive that to about less than 1,000. So it will bring the 12K to about less than 1,000, which will be left for you to pay. Those are fees that are not covered by those tuition waivers. Now, you're still being paid stipends, so you can use those stipends to in turn pay your fees, because those stipends sometimes they start around 2,500. That's 2,500 upwards. Sometimes it's a thousand, 1,500 a month, and so on. Sometimes it's 3, 4K, depending on this program, university, and where the source of funding. Now, why is it important to secure early funding in graduate school journey? That's one question. Now, funding decisions are often made well in advance of the academic year. So, and the earlier you apply, the more opportunities are available for you. Plus, just knowing you have financial support allows you to fully focus on your studies and your research without worrying about how to pay for everything. So, when you start planning for graduate school funding, or when you start planning for graduate school, rather, your funding should be your first priority, the first thing you think about, and it shouldn't be the last thing on your mind. Okay, so I'm sure everyone can still hear me loud and clear. So now the third part we're going to cover will be the, let me see here, will be the scholarships for graduate school. Okay. Now, now let's dive into scholarships for graduate school. This I'm going to be talking about scholarships specifically as it relates to, or specifically for international students. Now, first, let's talk about the different types of scholarships and the scholarships that are available. Now, the common types would be merit based scholarships. Now, these are awarded based on your academic performance, leadership skills. It could be specific talents you have. And if you've done really well in school, for example, and you've shown excellence in certain areas, merit based scholarships are a good options for you. Then we have the need based scholarships. So I mean need like NEED, need based. So these are awarded based on your financial situation. So let's say if you come from a background where paying for graduate school could be challenging. Many universities and many organizations, specifically those nonprofit organizations, to offer need-based scholarships to help ease the financial burden. And we also have specialty scholarships, which are targeted at students with unique backgrounds or unique experiences, such as let's say scholarship for students from certain countries, or those pursuing specific field of study in let's say in fields like engineering, or it could be computer science or arts, right? Now let's talk about effective strategies for researching and applying for scholarships. Now, the key here is, again, start early. I said this before. Don't wait until the last minute. You want to begin researching scholarships as soon as uh, you want to pursue graduate school. You want to look into university financial aid office. Just search online scholarship databases and explore some foundations and some organizations that support international students, right? So don't wait until the last minute. It's always a good idea to be proactive and start early. Now I'll give you some pro tips. These are things that could um, help you. Now it's advised, like, let me put this way. Many lesser known scholarships are not highly advertised. So they have fewer applicants. So this gives you better chance to of being selected if you opt in for such scholarships. Now you can find these hidden gems by digging deeper. You want to check with professional organization, local clubs, or even you want to check with companies in your field of interest. Sometimes it could be just companies that yeah, you've interacted with in conferences and things like that. Sometimes small scholarships do add up, and they do make a big difference. And when applying, you want to make sure to personalize your application. Now, you want to tailor your essays, your personal statements to reflect the values and the goals of the scholarships and organization. You want to show them why you're the right candidate for the scholarship and how you plan to make an impact. Now, one thing I'll let you know is that I do offer a lot of this, and if you go to my main stack store, the um, Graduate Excel main stack store. Their product, in fact, I'm trying to open it right now so I can tell you about some of this product that can really help you with navigating the graduate school application process. And I'm going to also share the storefront on the chat so that you're able to see what I see. Just give me a minute here. Okay, so that's the dashboard for the main stack store. If you go to the store, at this moment there are 10 products from graduate school resume mastery sessions that will help you really know how to write a good resume. I've always said that preparing for graduate school is really important. So the resume you submit for your job application is not the same thing you submit to a graduate school It's not the same resume you want to submit to your graduate school committee for your graduate school application. So you also have the graduate school success blueprint, which covers everything about graduate school application process. Yes, from everything about the graduate school application process. So, and there's also navigating the graduate admissions. So, we also have different resources here that can really help you. There's the there's even the employment based EB1 EB2 consultation where we can tell you and point you to the right direction to people who can help you with this at the time post graduation from graduate school, which is really good. Then there's a visa essential for international student, F1, J1 visa consultation, and all that to just help you understand the visa application process, what to put on your DS 160 and what not to include. So now there's also the plug, which is really good. The plug is a premium subscription where you get to interact with me one on one, and we get to cover the entire process from the application, from selecting, discussing, well, first of all about you, and then we will find a program that we think okay, we will set up a program that we will find a program that suits you best, right? And then we'll start finding schools for you. And then, of course, you're heavily involved in the process. And then but we'll just narrow it down sometimes to about six, seven, 5, 6, 7 schools. I always recommend more than three. And then we will get your resume done, your statement of purpose, your personal statement, will of course would if your transcript needs to be sent to West for evaluation, we'll make sure you do that, and then we also make sure just get the application, all the right application materials down. There's a letter of recommendation. Of course, I usually for my mentees write a letter of recommendation because I'm your mentor. I know you, so I can speak on your behalf. And and also, uh, I craft a draft of the recommendation, how it's supposed to read, and you will have to do the due diligence by sending this draft to your potential recommenders, and they're going to maybe follow that guidelines so that they can write you a standout letter of recommendation. So, in fact, the plug is really good. I just put the link. That link is would take you to those 10 products I'm talking about. And if you have any, again, there is my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Uh, and follow most of my social media pages. Those will really help you a lot with a lot of resources and information. The YouTube page has a lot of resources and information that will help you too. So let's go into, again, I was talking about the the third. I think we're about we just covered the scholarships and graduate school. That's the scholarship for graduate school. Now we're going to talk about fellowships for graduate school. So, and also, I would once I cover somewhat of this, what I have here for you, I would prefer you just ask questions because that would questions are always good so that because this is so that we can really talk about your specific situation that may apply to someone else. Okay, so I'm sure everyone saw that link. That's a dashboard link to the graduates Excel main stack store where all the products I just mentioned, where you could find them. Go on and book your one-on-one with me so that we can, uh, start your process and your progress to graduate school. Okay. All right. So now, the next thing we're going to talk about here, I have on my schedule is fellowships. That's we're actually on the fourth item I have here for you. Is the fellowships. So first, okay, I see some questions coming in already, but let me talk about the fellowships, and then we can go ahead and answer some questions. But keep the questions coming. Now, first, what do fellowships cover, and how are they different from scholarships? Right now, because I mentioned scholarships earlier. Now, fellowships often provide more than just money. Now, in addition to tuition, like I mentioned, they may include a living expense stipend, which is usually called a stipend or a living stipend that would help your day-to-day expenses as a student while you focus on your studies, or of course your research, whatever you're doing, right? So now they may also offer networking opportunities and mentorship. Some fellowship also offer um, professional development resources, which can be very valuable for your academic and career growth. Now, unlike scholarships, which are often based on financial needs or academic merit, fellowships are usually awarded based on your potential to contribute to a specific field. Now, the focus on your research goals, your leadership's abilities or your leadership skills, and how you would use your work to create impact in your area of study. Now, let's look at some of the prestigious fellowships. And again, I have a whole list of this as well. But again, some of these resources, and you will have to contact me directly, and I'll provide you more. And once you're in my mentoring programs, you would have, you know, you have access to most of these resources. You'd know about some of these prestigious scholarships to your fellowships to apply. I would advise you in which I think you stand a chance of getting. But anyways, let's look at some of the prestigious fellowships that many graduate students apply for. One, the first I want to kind of talk about will be the Fulbright program, which is one of the most well-known fellowships, and it offers funding for students from all over the world to study, to also teach and engage in research here in the United States. And we also have the uh, DAAD fellowships. If you're considering studying research in like or countries not the United States, that could be a good option for international student. Now I'm just generalizing. Now we have other scholarships that do cover like students who want to study in places like the United Kingdom on all that. One of them is the Rhodes scholarships. So now, if you for a comprehensive, of course, list of some of those fellowships for graduate students that are specific to the United States, just of course go ahead and send me a DM on one of my, especially on Instagram, or just uh, go ahead and subscribe to one of my programs or my uh, products, and you'll have access to those resources. So now the question is, now how do you qualify for this fellowships? And I this is what I mentioned earlier. So you want to start by thoroughly researching the fellowships to understand their missions and their goals. You want to tailor your application to show that you're to show your work and your future plans, and you want to make sure your work and your future, your current work and your future plans align with what these fellowships are looking for. You want to build a compiling application, and this is where we come in, right? We'll help you with making sure you have a standout application, because again, these scholarships are competitive, so you're not the only one applying for them. There sometimes thousands of and hundreds of applicants. So you want to make sure you build a compelling application. Now, the key here is to tell a good story. Now, you want to share your background, you want to share your experiences and academic interests, and how this background, experiences, and academic interests have led you to this point. Okay, and the things like what you hope to achieve with the fellowship or the support of the fellowship. You want to be clear, you want to be concise, you want to be specific about how your research or your career plans will contribute to solving real world problems. Now, you want to also seek out recommendation letters. That is important. And recommendation letters from professors or professionals who know you well and can speak about your qualification and potential. You want to have strong letters that can make a big difference. And lastly, you want to start early. Now, these applications take time. I'm going to tell you this, it takes time. Is these are There's a lot of back and forth. For example, if you sign up for one of my products, we're going to have a lot of back and forth, because most times I make sure your application is thorough. I review applications every day, so I understand what that these sort of applications should look like. So if my mentee has, shortcomings with the applications, I send it back. I make sure that we dot the i's, cross the t's. All the nitty gritty details are going to be highlighted on the application, because you're there to, it's a complete competitive, it is a competition, so you're there to win. And I want to set you up for success, and I want to make sure your application is, it's a standard application, and you're going to win. So again, you want to start early. These applications takes time, so you want to give yourself enough time to craft a thoughtful and a competitive and a complete application. You want to have a complete submission. Okay. Now let's take this question that I got here. It says, is it possible to get a fully funded scholarship with a third class? Now, that's a very good question. That's an interesting question as well, and I'll answer this question in, if you go to my, I believe I have s- some of this on my YouTube or Instagram somewhere, because these are, again, questions I get every day, right? So make sure you follow me so that you can see some of this answers to these questions. But yes, there's third class is not, and even third class and lower degrees like HND and OND and so on, especially for a HND. OND might be a little bit outside the box here. I'm referring to the OND and HND Nigerian style polytechnic degrees. And also when you have, like, second class, lower, or a third class, like you mentioned, if or not you are able to get scholarship. The answer is yes, you can. But what you need is that you need someone who is going to help you craft a good application. The application, you really need to understand the US graduate school application process. You need someone to help you, bring out or showcase other things that really highlight your potential, for example, in research, so that the graduate application committee is not just looking at your GPA, which is why you're talking about the third class there, maybe focusing on other potentials, maybe experiences and things that would really show and emphasize, maybe some research on or hands-on practical skills that you've acquired during the earlier, which could really be of interest of to the department or to the program. So again, you have to, there are a lot of things that are involved in the graduate school application process. That are key components of the successful application. You have your statement of purpose, which clearly articulates your academic and career goals. You have your resume. So you also have things like your letters of recommendations, and you also have test scores. So, for example, you have a low, your GPA is not good, and you have a test score that is really good. Now, the that could make the graduate application committee feel like, well, maybe there is something that you were doing in school that you know made you get the low grades. And guess what? That's why I'm here to help you with your SOP, which is your statement of purpose. Now, remember I told you, and I've talked about statement of purpose a lot. The statement of purpose clearly articulates your academic and career goals, highlights relevant experiences and achievements, and also it demonstrates fit with the program. And on that statement of purpose, and also you can have personal statements as well. Those things you can use to kind of talk about why you had you didn't do well in school. Maybe you had two, three jobs, or maybe during that time you had a loss in family and you couldn't cope, or maybe you were, you know, married and you were had family, and a lot of things are going on with your life, and such things are understandable, and we can really talk about details of why you had a low GPA on your latest and on your scholarship application document. So that is why you need a mentor. And I always say this: get a mentor. It's You can't go wrong with getting a mentor, because they would really help you with you know guiding you through the making a stand make to make a standout application. Now let me take this question. Uh, Angel said, "What about the non-collateral loan options?" Now, when you mean non-collateral loan options, can you please tell me what you're talking about? Because as international students, are you talking about as international students or as um, local students? Because I don't think there's any collateral loan option that is available for international students, as far as I know. Okay. So Angel, just again rephrase your question, and then so I can understand what you're asking better. But I see, I can, I think it's a BAA. It says, can a 2.2 first degree and above 3.0 CGPA master's degree get a fully funded PhD scholarship? Of course, like I mentioned, your scholarship application is it's really important to have a standout scholarship application, and that is where you need a mentor, you need guidance to help you with the to put the right paperwork together. So you can, with a master's degree, and that's you're already prepared for for applied research in most cases, and that is, we prefer that you even have a master's degrees when you're coming when you're trying to apply for a PhD program. So that's a plus for you. So definitely, if you have a master's degree, be it a low tutu, or and then your low tutu, that will be your undergrad. Like the question says here, it says a 4.5 GPA in your MSc. That sounds to me like you know a good applicant for a PhD program. Now, will you get a funded scholarship or not? Yes, you will, depending on the program you're applying to, depending on how you craft your application, depending on the type of scholarships, fellowships, or assistantships that you apply for. That is why you need to find the right, correct mentor. And that is why I'm here to guide you in this process so that we can make sure you don't just get your I mean, you have to, of course, pass the first step, which means that you need to get accepted, and in most cases, get accepted with funding. Now, there are other fundings like the fellowships and scholarships that could even come before you getting accepted, because those are not directly to the universities. Those are applications you made to like nonprofit organizations, to companies, to institution, fellowship institutions, and all that. So those would really those could even help your application as well if you already have funding in place and you're applying. That's another story that we can talk about on one of our one-on-one call. So just again, go ahead and let's have some one-on-one interaction with by subscribing to one of my products. Okay, so I think Angel asked a question again. So, what of PhD fully funded scholarship had low tutu during BSc? Okay, I think that's the same question with EBAA. So it says so similar. You have but the BA actually said or two, you can say high or low for first degree and above 3.0 GPA for master. So that's similar. Yeah, you can. So all this is possible. So it depends on how you approach this. That is what is important, and that is what is key to your to you acing or getting funding. But like I said earlier, the first thing is that if I mean to get in most cases, especially this fifth part we are going to go into right now, which is assistantships, teaching, research, and graduate assistantship, you have to you already have you already need to have been accepted to the program to apply for to get things like teaching, research, or graduate assistantships. So those are different from scholarships and fellowships. Okay. All right. So I think Angel asked another question. As an international student, like the Empower loan option, and it's like that gives international more financial soft landing. Okay, okay. That's now again. I don't know much about the Empower and how it works. Now, if then let me cycle back to your initial question to make this to really link this up. Yeah, of course. So if you're just asking if these options are available, I hear of many options that are available. Like for example, in Nigeria and Ghana and Cameroon, there government sponsors scholarships. You can definitely tap into such pipeline, and those will really help reduce your financial burden by the time you get to United States. And those type of scholarships or fellowships do actually help your application process. So, for example, you already have funding in place, and you already have some, it's you actually have X amount of money already in place. I mean, the admissions committee, and you have, of course, and that's what I do. I'll make sure you submit such letters as well when you're applying, and those things will help show that you are a standout student. You've been recognized by some of this non-profit organization, and they are willing to pay part of your tuition, or give you X amount of funding towards your tuition to subsidize your tuition. And that gives the admissions committee some type of you know excitement about you as an applicant. So now let me take another question. If selected, can a scholarship student come with spouse and family? Oh, of course, in the United States there is no such restrictions of that I know of as of today that would make you not able to come to the United States without your spouse or your children. In fact, once you get accepted, that would be another topic for another day. I'm just trying to focus on assistantships and scholarship funding opportunities today. But this is how the process works. You find a program, you find a university, you apply. You probably need to take some tests like TOEFL, IELTS, and GRE specifically, GMAT, depending on what program, what you're applying for. Some schools require this. I always encourage that you take these tests, especially if you have some something going on with your GPA. This could help you uh, write a better SOP or personal statement that could really explain why your GPA was low. Anyways, cycling back to what I was saying, the process. Now you find a program, you apply, you the next step is that you get accepted. Uh, but hopefully, if you use one of my services, uh, now, if you get accepted, the next thing is that you'll be sent something called an I-20. Of course, you need to pay for a service record to be able to generate a service with the United States Homeland Security. So that is like, well, that's another topic. I don't want to go into that, but you get an I-20. Now, that later, it says that you have funding or you don't have funding, or what you well and it gives a summary of what your tuition, your living expenses should be. Now that later, which is called the I-20, you have to submit that to a visa consular that you need to apply to one of the embassies of the United States, outside the United States, of course. And and when you apply, you have to submit that later, and it just clearly states that you have funding. Now, with your web, and then you can get, depending on the visa type you're applying for, it could be an F type, F visa, or a J visa. If you're applying for an F visa, you as a student who is the applicant will be issued an F1 visa, and your spouse, children, and all that will be your F2s, right? So those that's the student visa. That's a typical student visa, and the F2 will be the spouses and children, or quote unquote dependent of the F1. So again, just so that's kind of the process. There's so far I know there's no restriction for spouse and families not to join you for your studies here in the United States. Yeah, yes. So IELTS cannot substitute the GRE or GMAT. Now, just so you know, let's be clear on this. IELTS, TOEFL, those are English tests. GMAT, GRE, those are aptitude tests that test specific subject areas, right? Um, so general English test is different from specific subject areas. For example, once you know your quantitative reasoning or capability, that's why we make you take the GRE. So we want to make sure that you have sufficient. For example, if you come in for engineering, you're supposed to have taken have some sufficient knowledge of algebra, calculus, some basic engineering level math for to be able to you know get into graduate school. So that those are specific subject type exam. So they are not, they can, this one cannot be substituted for another now. And that is why you need a mentor. You need someone to consult with when you're doing this, because a lot of schools have specific program requirements. So you need to check with the school. You need to check the specific program requirement. If there's always someone listed on that program who it is who is called the program, um, could be called the program coordinator or the um, program assistant, something like that. Copy that, take that email, and email that person if you have questions about specific program requirement. For example, do I not need to submit an English test score? Do I not need to submit the GRE or the GMAT? Now, as far as I know, a lot of universities have a list of countries, specific countries. They go like, if you're from ABCXYZ countries, you do not need to submit a general English test course. So you need to check, you need to read, you need to go to the website and know exactly what they are asking you to do. So, and I know a lot of them have Nigeria as exempt. So if you're from country like Nigeria, you may not need to take the IELT test. Now, again, that is program specific, not just so. When I say program specific and university requirement, there are two things. So, a university might have a general requirement, and specific program might insist on their specific program requirements. So that is why you are not just going to the graduate general quote unquote graduate school website at the university. You are going to the program. You go to the full program. For example, you're applying for, let's say, um, um, let's say you're applying for a PhD in mechanical engineering. You go to the mechanical engineering department website. You go to their, you of course you see masters, you see PhD. You, if they offer a PhD program, you're going to see clearly written there. Go to the PhD. You click on that. You click on specific. You read the specific requirement for applying to that program, and there's always someone who is in charge of that specific program, specific PhD program, or it could be the graduate school coordinator for that program or that department. But I use the word, mind you, program and department interchangeably so you don't get confused. So it's called, so in Africa, we call it department. Here, we can call it programs or we can call it departments. We use them interchangeably. So now, Gloria Gamble, good. Hello, welcome to the show. Let's see. I have noticed most schools want you to have a bit of teaching experience or lab experience for sciences for assistantships, but I lack such experiences. What can I do to make myself eligible for such? Okay, for such. Okay, good. That's a very good question, Gloria. So now, experience experience can be, you know, not just from both the academic side, it could also be from the professional side. So that is why I always say get a mentor, get someone who is a professional like myself to review and to work, that you need to work with to um, help you build your application. So there are a lot of ways in which you can showcase that you're able, you're first fast paced learner, meaning that you're able to adapt. There are a lot of things we're looking for. We're not, so when you say experience, we don't expect that you have done exact XYZ experiment. We just expect that if we give you a course to TA, that's teach the labs, or we put you in a lab to do basic experiments, you're able to you know catch up. You're able to do that. So there are ways in which you need to present yourself in your statement of purpose and your personal statement that let the admissions committee know that you're fast-paced, you're a fast learner, you're ready to work, you're ready to get your hands dirty, quote unquote, meaning that you're ready to jump in the lab and get your um, you know, put your gloves on and be proactive, meaning that you want to work, do some physical lab work if that is the type of as, teaching assistantship or research assistantship position that is open for that department. I'll give you an example. There's something called in industrial engineering. There is the core IE, which is operations research. They do research, but they don't get into the lab, meaning that there is no lab. Their lab is actually their computer. So when a professor who is working on operations research type of work is looking for students, he's looking for students who can sit down on a computer for hours and hours and look at data sets and work with tools to that would help analyzing such data. They are not looking for someone who has experience in on your SOP or your page statement purpose. You're talking about how you went to the rig or you did some physical work. That they're not interested in that because the work doesn't entail that you're actually in a physical lab. However, if you're working with a professor, well, let me talk about the same industrial engineering department, which I just talked about, operations research. If you're working with someone who is working on, like myself, manufacturing in industrial engineering, same department. Now I'm not looking for someone who wants to sit down on the computer, 8 hours a day. However, I'm looking for someone who wants to physically be in a lab because most of my experiment needs to be set up. I work with real materials. I work with processes that needs to be, those processes when you need to do experimental setup. So you need to actually be in a physical lab. So that's an example. But let's go into let me see, the fifth thing before which is assistantships. I think I assistantships, which is teaching assistantship, research graduate assistantships. Okay, now these are excellent opportunities to fund your graduate school study while gaining valuable work experience, and there are, like I mentioned earlier, there are three main types of assistantships. There's the teaching assistantships, which is the TA. Now, the teaching assistantships will help professors like myself with tasks like grading, leading discussion sections, or even teaching some classes and teaching some labs. Now, it's a great way to strengthen your teaching and communication skills, and in many cases, you can get valuable classroom experience, right? So we also have research assistants. So for as a research, that's the RA, research assistantships, RA. So as a research assistant, you will work closely with professors like myself or research teams on specific project in your field. Now, this might include conducting experiments, collecting data, or just writing reports. Now, uh, it's especially useful if you are planning to go into research-based career or academic roles. So, as this would give you hands-on experience directly related to your field. Now, RA positions, research assistant position, usually come from some sort of funding for the PIs or the professors. So they want you to work on specific areas, and if depending on the training, depending on the professors or the PI, quote unquote, I'm talking about now a PhD program. If you're going into a PhD program, for me personally, I like to prepare my students for both teaching and research. So, because getting a PhD really would necessitate the teaching aspect. You can do well with a master's degree, but if you want to get a PhD, you should be well grounded both in research and both in teaching, because you could end up in academia like myself. And if you end up in academia and you're a terrible teacher, in fact, in academia, teaching is an expectation, is not something that you can they expect that you're able to teach this class and you should do it very well without any problems, because you're an ex you're quote unquote an expert. So again, why I'm saying this is that I let my students do some teaching assistantships and research assistantships combined during the PhD program. Could be 4 or 5 years depending on the of course, depending on the student and depending on the project. And the third we're going to talk about, we talked about teaching assistantships, research assistantships, and uh, now we're going to talk about graduate assistantship. This is just a general term that is used, graduate assistants. And the graduate assistants usually take on administrative or departmental tasks. And graduate assistantships could actually there's what we call GAL, which is the graduates assistant lecturers. They can actually, which most times we use senior PhD students for that. They can actually, teach a class. Maybe there's for some reason a professor who is supposed to take a class is not available that semester for any reason, and we don't have a substitute lecturer or professor to take the class. We can actually have a GAL, which is a graduate assistant. It's also called a graduate assistant lecturer to take on that role. Now, again, this could also include anything from helping organize academic events. We could have them on administrative role, like I said, or department tasks like managing databases or supporting various department needs. It's a flexible role, and that such role can be widely, of course, depending on the department. Now, so how do assistantships help financially? Now, that's another thing I want to go into. Tuition waivers. Now, that's the first assistantship. We have tuition waivers, we have stipends, and we have also other helps it can give you, like valuable work experience. And I'll take that one by one. For tuition waivers, many assistantships come with full or partial tuition waivers. I mentioned this earlier, meaning you don't have to pay for part or the entire tuition fees. And it could, meaning that if you, as international students, for example, you must by law, you're required to register 9 credit hours every semester, I think, excluding summer. So for the spring and the fall, you must register for at least a minimum of 9 credit hours. And that could easily add up to more than 10, 12 $12,000 in tuition, right? So, and if you have to pay for this out of pocket, that is a lot. But if you have some of these assistantships, it could help waive this to zero, or it could partially waive it. Now, you also have stipends, and you will also receive a stipend, which is like of course, a paycheck. Is monthly, sometimes bi-weekly, depending on the university, and it's how it's the HR pays or organized. Now, you will receive a stipend, which is like a paycheck for the work you do in the assistantship. Now, it may not be a huge amount, but it can help cover living expenses. I've seen, depending on the program, depending on the where the assistantships is coming from, I've seen stipends as high as $4,000 a month, uh, more than $4,000 a month, which is for a student, I think is really decent pay. Because I mean, your rent is not. I mean, if depending on if you have family or not, your rent should be way under $1,000, and there's no way you're going to food, groceries, and transportation is going to cost you more than 500, $600 a month. So yeah, you still have a whole lot of dollars to play with if you're even paid 2 grand plus on stipend, right? So, valuable work experience is something else you gain. Now, in addition to the financial benefits, assistantships do provide real world experience that would help you grow professionally and build a strong resume. Now, how do you secure these assistantship positions? That's one thing I want to talk about. Now, so you want to start by researching your department. Some programs offer assistantships opportunities than others. So you want to research, you want to consult. I think, in fact, the first on my list should be consultation. You need to consult me. You need to consult someone who can help you navigate this graduate school application process. Now, go ahead and let's and consult with me, and then we can start by researching the department. We'll research programs and assistantship opportunities they offer, and make sure you understand what is available in your field of study. Right now, you want to reach out to faculty members early. This is this is a little bit, something I don't want to tell you to do, but once you're my mentee, I'll tell you how to go about it. It could be positive, it could be negative to just reach out to professors and lecturers seeking for TARA or GA positions. Now, so how to go about that is important. I can tell you how to do that because I receive a lot of emails every day from students, and I can tell you how to.